Welcome to the NBTLT podcast with your guides to this magical journey, Lon and Zumi.
Welcome back to a late edition of the NBTLT podcast, the only podcast that goes in dry but pulls out like a gentleman. I'm Lon, and I'm joined as always by my buddy and director Zumi. How you doing, Zoom?
I'm doing well.
Are you sure?
I'm happier than shit right now.
Are you laying down?
I am laying down. This is a weird and awkward setup that I have right now.
You look like a teenage girl.
And that's
you got your feet up.
And that's okay, because you know what? Our listeners can't see. And
that's unfortunate because this is hilarious.
But, so yeah, late start.
Yeah, late start.
We couldn't record on Saturday because I was at the No Longer White Whale, the La Jolla tournament.
La Jolla.
And, dude, I gotta say, like, La Jolla did some... I'm gonna call them out because they did some fucking shady stuff.
Oh.
So
did they pull a McAvoy?
Something like that. So we are we're the defending champions, right?
Yeah.
And we were seated as number 2.
Okay.
So they seated themselves as number 1.
What?
Yeah.
How do they do that?
I don't know. I guess because of their tournament But
what, they just get to call it like that?
I guess so. So I mean, I figured
is this the NBA?
I figured I won the tournament last year. We should have been ranked number 1, right? But we weren't.
Yeah.
Anyways, and then they gave me the pull of death. Basically, they gave me teams. They gave me Sage Creek and Scripps Ranch, which are usually pretty good teams. And then
so they're giving you a gauntlet.
Yeah. So the way they structured it is if we would have ranked other than first place in our pool, we would have gone to the upper bracket.
Yeah.
For playoffs, and we would have been screwed. It would have had a tougher bracket than the one we got, but we ranked first. So we beat everybody, right? We beat Sage Creek, we beat Scripps Ranch, and we beat their freshman team, the La Jolla freshman team, because it was a novice tournament.
Yeah.
So La Jolla actually got screwed because Sage Creek and both Sage and Scripps Ranch went to their upper bracket. And I guess I guess they didn't do very good that they stayed on the upper bracket.
Yeah.
And so they got eliminated like on the second game of playoffs. So I think Scripps Ranch beat them, and then Sage Creek and Scripps Ranch ended up playing again in playoffs. And I'm like, when I'm looking at this, I'm like, I've already beat both teams, so I got this.
Of course.
So we're back to back champions.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you, Zumi.
Yeah, I'm proud.
And you can tell your kids that your co-host is proud of them too.
I don't think they listen to my podcast.
That's probably a good thing.
It is a good saying.
I think that a lot. Like, if I go to my next job interview, it's like, will they find this?
Yeah, you just don't talk about it. But yeah. Like I don't ever tell them that I have a podcast, just because, I mean, I am their coach after all. And I mean, I did give him my full disclosure, like on the very first day of practice. It usually goes something like, if politically incorrect statements, colorful metaphors, or the word boobies offend you, get the fuck out.
Also, if the word fuck offends you,
yeah,
and get the boobies out.
And normally they start laughing, and I'm just like, hey, I'm always gonna be honest with you guys. If I use a curse word, it's because I'm trying to stimulate a different part of your brain.
I'm trying to emphasize something.
Well, not
You-
not emphasize, but you stimulate the reptilian brain, right?
Well, that's the one of the cool things about cussing. I don't think people understand the usage of profanity is actually a very helpful tool, not only in conversation but in all other aspects of like communication. And cursing is actually one of the one things that someone can do when they have an inability to speak in some way. So they have like a speech impediment, or they have. You remember that movie, The King's Speech?
I never saw it.
Well, it goes along the same lines. It's like no matter what your disability is, you can always cuss.
Mm,
Just because it's one of those things, like profanity has and it triggers an interesting part of the brain.
the reptilian brain.
Like yeah, and it's stored, in such a way that no matter when you need it, it's always there, clear and concise. So I hate it when people say like, "Oh, don't swear." It's like, well, that's how I get my point across. That's how I describe something in a way that you'll remember it.
Right.
Something like that. But there are people that cuss too much.
Yes,
I would
and,
say.
and like I said, and I try to limit the cursing. It's only when I need their attention. So I mean, and if you're a teacher, and if you just say, or just tell a joke, or just say, like I said, just say the word boobs, that reptilian brain gets activated like right away. You get people's attention for an extra 20 minutes or so.
Especially the young men.
Yes.
Yep.
I mean, it happens with women too, right? Like even
Yeah.
even a curse word will stimulate the reptilian brain. So on women.
Word.
So I got volleyball out of the way. See, quick, 5 minutes or
No,
so.
I love when you talk about volleyball because I'm into sports. And then we had, of course, that huge rant about sports on the last podcast. So
Yeah,
but,
yeah. It
it's good
was,
stuff, man.
yeah, it was a lot of fun, dude. I'm pretty stacked. Like my team is stacked,
Well, I
and
saw the photo of your players.
yeah.
Dude, some of those kids are big.
Yeah, I know, dude. I'm like the shortest kid is like my height.
It's not bad.
Uh,
So, do you guys go for like a more? I know we're continuing on volleyball, but that's okay. I don't know a whole lot about like gameplay and playmaking and all that stuff for volleyball, but do you guys go for more of a power type of like an aggressive style, does it like do you do like a fluidity with your gameplay, like where you do it at different times?
I usually go full on power, especially like with the team that I have because they're so tall and most of them have already played club. Uh, I I well at least this year I won them as an offensive team.
Yeah,
So that means we serve hard and then we rarely tip. You're gonna get a set. You're gonna hit that ball hard.
yeah,
Oh, actually, one of my kids, I have a lefty, and he's a power hitter, like
yeah.
just a straight up power hitter. And lefties are like they're like hidden gems, right? There's really a lot of value of being
Oh
a
yeah,
lefty.
man. Southpaw.
And he destroys this ball. And there was this one kid just standing in the middle in his path, and he just hit him right in the nose. And you
Boom!
just see the kid running. He just starts running off the court, and we're like, what the hell? And then he comes back running to the court, realizing that he went to the girls' bathroom instead of the boys' bathroom. And
Knock that kid into a different galaxy.
there's just blood in his hands.
Yes.
And then even the ref was like, is he gonna be okay? And we're looking at, we're looking at my lefty player, and we're just going like, I think you broke his nose.
It's like some of the parents are sitting in the stands going, if I would have known this was such an aggressive sport, I would have chosen football.
And
That's brutal.
that kid got lit, man.
Yeah, well, you guys wear knee pads and elbow pads, right?
Just knee pads.
Oh, you don't do elbow pads?
No, I mean, some kids do the like the lycra or the
Oh
compression
yeah, like
ones.
wrap.
Yeah, but it's It's really rare to see that. Um,
Okay.
like knee pads is really common, and ankle braces.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, yeah. Well, I'm excited for you.
Yeah, I'm
So
pretty
where do
excited
you
too.
move on from here?
So we have our first match. Uh, it's not a league game, uh, against East Lake. They're not part of our league, but we play them. So
Yeah.
at home. So it's the first. It's a home match.
All right. At a conference game, build a
Uh,
little confidence.
yeah,
Yeah. Should be fun.
it's gonna be a lot of fun. Um, and yeah, man. I mean, but the thing is, like, I'm already like in week 2, and the thing ends in like May 4th. I'm like, holy crap! Like,
This shit goes by fast, man.
it is, man. It's going fast. Like already, I feel like I've already been in 2 weeks.
Well, that's something I've noticed. It was one of those things, like that the older generation had always said, like time goes by fast the older you get. I didn't realize like how fast stuff goes until I had my kids. And then uh God, I feel like when we had Christmas this last Christmas, I feel like when we were having that, I was like, dude, didn't we just do this? But of course, like your days take forever, you know. But yeah, stuff goes by fast. I mean, gotta enjoy it now.
Yep. So, I finished watching Altered Carbon.
Analysis, please.
Analysis, please. It was good.
It was good, not great.
I mean, it was entertaining. It was highly entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I liked the concept. I thought the plot towards the end was kind of cheesy, like
Yeah.
kind of like it went on Dumbo. but
Yeah.
I mean, I'll definitely watch it again. And if they bring out a season 2, it'd be really interesting to see where they take it. Uh, I like the
I was really
whole.
depressed what happened to Poe.
Oh yeah, Poe.
Ugh. They have to bring him back, right?
I think they can. There's always like the girl that he was curing, that she can always be like, oh, I just got
Yeah.
a backup something
Yeah, and
program.
she went full on Lucy,
Yeah,
you
so
know. Yeah, it was an interesting show. It's also kind of
but it brought some interesting, I say, fantasies, I would say.
yeah, I guess so.
I mean, we were talking about this. Can you
Yeah.
imagine cloning Riley Reed
No,
300
but
365 times with 0 mileage, so you get one new Riley Reed clone every day?
you would enjoy that, wouldn't you?
0 mileage, fuck, dude.
Well, the
And she has that alteration that one blonde lady had, where her like pussy juice makes you crazy.
oh yeah, that was kind of weird. The whole thing was kind of messed up because like with the new sleeve, like a new body or whatever to put your consciousness in. Like you can of course clone yourself, apparently with 3D printers, and you can also do modifications. Like there was a bunch of people that had like weird genetic modifications to their sleeve. Like there was that fight pit, where the one guy was like a rhino / human or something like that, and then they had all this weird stuff. But the one that was really messed up to me, it was, you saw there was a lot of people that they would take bodies from. So like when they died, they would just use their body and put them in, like put other people into them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, that's kind of fucked up. I mean, the whole thing was kind of fucked up anyway, but it was an interesting show. It had some of the cinematic feel of Blade Runner, just not to that glorification. But it had a lot of cool concepts that were very interesting. I don't know about the detective story so much. I didn't think it was very in depth. Like, they tried to make it that way. They really tried to make it so that, there was this really cool underlying detective story.
Right,
But
and
that
that's
just seemed like a complete side story to me that just wasn't important.
right. So the main story that you think you're getting is actually not the main story. The main story is, Talk and his freaking rebellion group or whatever.
Yeah. It
Right?
was kind of a weird switch when it happened, too, because I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we're going this way.
Yeah.
But it was okay. I mean, it was a good show. I enjoyed it, but there was a few things I would say, if they're going to do a second season, then you really need to work on those aspects.
Yeah. How about Godless? Have you seen it yet?
I did not. I haven't got a chance to watch it. I finished up Dark.
Oh.
That show's messed up, man.
Oh, but it's
Dude,
so
Noah.
good. But it's so good.
It is good. The thing that I like I told you, I don't like about watching these shows is I've expressed several times how much I have a massive fear of time travel. And I don't think it's an unwarranted fear either. I think that it should scare the shit out of everybody, but that's the one thing that it really messed with me the whole time, because I'm thinking, like, oh, this poor kid, he's like stuck in the past and he can't fucking do anything about it. And then his friend, who ends up being his son?
Yeah.
Yeah, his son, he can't do anything about it, because if he does, he won't exist.
Right.
Oh,
It's
dude.
like, dude.
The whole thing is messed up. It's like a fucked up version of Back to the Future.
Dude, you made out with your aunt.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Uh,
Speaking of aunts, we haven't talked about Game of Thrones in a long time.
because it's not time to talk about Game of Thrones.
I understand that, but
Well,
I've been...
Before you go on the Game of Thrones rant, can I just say that my Netflix account got hacked?
How does your Netflix account get hacked?
Dude,
do you not put a good enough password on your email or something?
it was a good password and stuff, and all of a sudden, I saw a different name on the main account, and so my brother has the account. And I'm like, hey, did you change the name on one of the accounts? And he's like, no. And I'm like, well, what the fuck is Angel?
Oh, man.
And he's like, but then we're thinking like, oh, okay, maybe Miguel Angel, like my other brother. And then we go and confront him, and he's like, hey, did you change the name on the profiles? And he's like, no. And it's like, I don't even use that account. So I'm like, we're like, oh. So we go into Netflix and we look for the common things on how to tell if your account has been hacked. And the number one thing is name and a name change and a profile. So we're like, oh shit. So anyways, we started looking for the IP addresses on the devices to see what they're watching and stuff, and they didn't get to it. We changed the password, and then like 2 or 3 weeks later, we get an email saying unidentified device going into your account at like 2 a.m. So we're like, fuck. So the password that we changed didn't work. So now we're dealing with that shit.
Well, there's something I've been noticing recently. It'll happen like every few weeks to maybe a couple of months. Like way back when you first started doing, username and passwords for certain websites, or like an email or something, like old stuff, like your old email. Like I think yours from when I knew you was like Cersal Parfait or something.
I still have it. I still use it.
Yeah. Well, there's like stuff like that, like, you can go back to high school and like your email address from back then, like when you first got an email address or an AOL,
I had
instant messenger name.
Personally, I had Alta Vista.
Yeah. Well, I've been recently getting a lot of stuff that's telling me that I have, suspicious activity on some of these accounts, stuff I had totally forgotten about. The first one that came up was my Steam account, which I don't ever use. And I started that shit way back in the day. And it was telling me that there's some IP address in China that's trying to get into my account. So I was like, oh, well, I don't even remember the password for that. I think I know what it is, but I'm not sure. Well, there's that. And then there's all these websites, like these, like a gaming website. There was, what was the one? There was one for like cross country when I was doing cross country in high school.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say my free pay site.
No. No, but
hey, that one's actually legit though.
Yeah,
it works.
Well, I did get the one for my MySpace account. Like I got initially, like a few years ago, I got the notification that I'm gonna have to, my page is gonna be converted over to like an archived account since they don't do that type of stuff anymore. It's mostly music. So I'm like, oh, whatever. And then I get a notification that it's been, somebody got into it, in a different IP address. But yeah, I've been getting a lot of that stuff lately. It's like people are going back, like way back into my old accounts and stuff, trying to get my things. And most of them, I'm just like, yeah, whatever, let them have it. But
oh, dude, I just puked a little bit.
Dude,
that sucks. Oh God.
I got called gay.
What?
Because by somebody at work because I told him I liked a movie series.
What movie series?
Pitch Perfect.
Fucking gay.
See, why is that gay? Okay, first of all, have you seen the movies?
No, I have no interest.
You should watch them.
I have no interest.
You should watch them because they're fucking hilarious.
So,
it's totally not what you think it is.
It sounds...
Well, maybe it is what you think it is.
I was gonna say that I mean it's like you admitting that you watch or secretly love like Twilight or something like that, It's just fucking gay, dude. You do like the Twilight series, don't you?
No, but I did read the books.
Oh God.
I did read the books because I had to see. Like it's one of those things you hear everybody talking about. It was the same thing for the Da Vinci Code. Like when everybody was talking about how good it was and stuff, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna read it, and I don't like it. It's like most of that stuff. It's like there's like this trendy thing, and everybody says, oh, this stuff is awesome, or these books are amazing, and then you read it, and you're like, this kind of blows. I don't know. It's really not that good.
It's like that one book that said Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
What a weird book.
Yeah, but it wasn't as good as everybody like panned it out to be, though. Like it was like, okay, it's just like.
Well, when I was talking to a person on one of the Slack channels that I'm on, we were talking about the Count of Monte Cristo, and like the differences between the book and the two movies, like the older one, the black and white one, and then the newer one with Jim Caviezel. Yeah. And the guy from what is that? Memento.
Guy Pearce.
What is his name? Yeah, Guy Pearce. But it's one of those movies, like it pulls drastically away from a lot of the content that's in the book, but I still love it. I still love the new movie of The Count of Monte Cristo. It's just, in the book, there's so many differences, but there's been a lot of them, there's like Harry Potter. That's always a good go-to to like, movies that take something from the book and they change it or, and it's not necessarily bad. It's just not as good,
I think they do it because it's more convenient.
I think that might be it because they do it a lot. They've done it with Lord of the Rings. They did it drastically with the Hobbit movies.
Yeah, they took a lot of liberty with those.
Yeah, and, a lot of that stuff bugs me. At least with, like, movies like Lord of the Rings, they turned out good. But it's... I don't know. I kind of I'm starting to hate the whole trendiness of things now. And I hate it when really good stuff becomes popular.
Oh my God. You're probably going to be like one of those guys that doesn't like Kobe because he won an Oscar, huh?
There's nothing wrong with Kobe.
Okay.
I really don't care about the Oscars or really any award shows. I heard that what's his name finally won an Oscar.
My boy. Guillermo del Toro. He won a couple, actually.
Yep. Oh, and then you had Gary Oldman. He finally won an Oscar.
Yeah, finally.
But I mean, who cares? I mean,
I care because Blade Runner won 2 of it.
Well, fine, they got one right. You know,
They got 2 right. They won 2.
But they also had Best Picture as The Shape of Water.
Yeah, that's Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, and
it's fun. You want to tell the people what you thought The Shape of Water was?
Okay, well, in the beginning when I first saw the trailer and stuff like that, I was like, okay, this is Abe Sapien from Hellboy. It's obvious. I mean, it's so obviously a ripoff of Abe Sapien.
Is that it was a fucking prequel for Hellboy?
I did. I was like, okay, you know, this is something that I might be interested in, right? Because I like Hellboy and I like Abe Sapien. But there was so many, Zumi, there was so many things that were similar. You can't deny that. Did you even watch it yet?
I haven't seen it. All I know is it's like a Beauty and the Beast, but with an aquatic monster. But the fact that you thought it was a fucking prequel from one of the Hellboy's characters, dude, it's just.
But that's exactly what it looked like, and I'm not the only one that thought this because
all the fucking guys are like pumped, like, oh dude, it's like Hellboy, and then all of a sudden they're watching a chick like they're like, what the fuck is this?
And I could handle that stuff, and I once I started watching it, I'm like, okay, this doesn't follow the background of Abe Sapien whatsoever. You know, it's like because I think there was like 2 comic books with just Abe Sapien in them, and I've read them, and I'm like, okay, this isn't Abe Sapien.
I can just imagine he was like, wait, no, he was supposed like the villain's not. He was supposed to be like this.
Yeah, it was, you know, he was basically supposed to be found as like a tadpole in a lab. And that's basically what it was. I mean, but with this movie, no, he's full grown, and you know, and they found him in some river in Africa or something like that. And I can handle all that stuff. After the realization that, you know, okay, it's not Abe Sapien, I just kind of settled back in and go, okay, I'm just going to watch the movie. And I hated it. Because it's doing the same fucking thing over again. And I understand that there's not a whole lot of plots that they can just make up anymore because there's been so much done. But I really don't find that as an excuse.
Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I guess. And I understand that studios have to make money, but I really do feel like Del Toro was trying to make an artistic piece. And I just hated it.
I don't know. I'm still gonna watch it, and then I'll let you know. But I'm actually kind of glad that he did like a movie on his own, because to be honest, he fucked up The Hobbit, and it's just
we don't talk about that.
Yeah, it was just bad.
Angry.
And I mean, Pacific Rim was kind of okay.
But that action.
But now part 2 is, I don't think he has any.
I don't think he has any association.
Yeah,
with
not
that
even
movie.
like producing, nothing, like, you know. So, and it sucks because, like, you know, since I was a kid, like, he was always like the guy that I was waiting, like, okay, when is your next monster movie coming out? So,
yeah. And you know, I like the Hellboy movies.
Yeah,
because I think
really
he stayed pretty true to the at least the comic book. And oh my gosh, Christelle is texting me. Hang on a second. What's happening right now? Sorry. With the Hellboy movies, he did really well staying true to the comic books, and I love oh my god, now I forget his name. I can't believe I forget his name. The guy who plays Hellboy. What the fuck is his name, Zumi?
I'm throwing a blank here.
I always want to say Gary Busey, and I don't know why.
No, he kind of looks like.
I know it's not.
He kind of looks like Gary Busey sometimes, like in certain angles. But
oh my god, what the fuck is
I'm
his
just
name?
gonna look it up.
Let me see.
Let's see.
Ron Perlman. I know
Ron
Perlman. Okay. It takes me a while to get it, but I'll get it. But yeah, the Hellboy movies were great, and I loved Abe Sapien in those movies because once again it played true to the comics, and it didn't do it so true to the comics that it just ruined the movie, because there's been some movies that kind of do that.
Right.
For instance, the one with oh my god, now I'm just forgetting names all around. The one that with Owlman, or the Owl.
Oh,
Holy shit.
the,
And
the
Ozymandias.
owl. Just say blue big dick, dude.
Yeah. Naked blue guy.
Naked blue guy.
Oh my god.
The
What's the
Watchmen.
name of this? The Watchmen. You know, like, that was... I like the movie The Watchmen. It's just, that was way too close to the comics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they did everything frame for frame, and it was like, yeah, but, I mean, it's cool, but it just doesn't help the flow of the movie, you know, at all.
I actually like that one. It's like the only Zack Snyder movie that I like. I made in 300.
I like Rorschach in that movie.
Yeah, and 300 was pretty good too, I guess.
300's pretty badass. I didn't like the second one.
I had never seen the second one.
You don't need to. It's really nothing impressive. But yeah, this new one, this new movie of his that won Best Picture, The Shape of Water. It's not that it's a bad movie. It really isn't. It's a decent movie. It's just, there's a few things that piss me off, and one of them being that it's the same fucking storyline. There's a Beauty and the Beast, and, you know, of course, nobody understands them. And there's always this one over-the-top villain.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, that guy would never be allowed to do that kind of work in that type of agency. And then, of course, there's Russian spying. You know, of course, you got to go with some stuff that's going on in the current situation, right? And then the main character, there's a few things. It's like, first of all, he is almost the exact same thing as Abe Sapien from another movie that Del Toro did. So much so that the character is not just an amphibious man, or, you know, at least something akin to that. He's not just that, and he's not just like he can feel things through his hands, but he also likes eggs, and he also likes music. And it's actually the same actor inside the suit that was in Abe Sapien.
Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Dude, it's just, it's like they're not even trying.
Well, I mean, you are talking about the lowest ranking Oscars ever? So people...
Yeah, what were they down to? Like 20-something million? Down from like 47?
I think people... And I'm actually really, really proud of this. I think people finally got to see through Hollywood's bullshit. Yeah. About, you know... I mean, if you think about it, what the Oscars, what are they really? It's just the same actors recognizing actors.
Yeah, it's a big circle jerk.
It's not like somebody's voting. It's not like there's like a like a legit agency that judges this. It's not done by critics, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like I said before, like we live in a freaking world where the highest paying people are people that are good at pretend.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're fucking playing pretend. And they get paid millions of dollars.
The other big reveal for that is the movies that win Best Picture are not always the best movie. No. And it's so grossly obvious. Because I forget what year it was. What year was it when Shawshank Redemption was up for nomination and it lost?
I don't remember.
It didn't win.
I mean, the same thing happened to Citizen Kane.
Yeah. Just a total disservice, right?
I mean, and this happened to how many times to DiCaprio?
I don't know.
Yeah, a shitload of times, dude.
Well, okay, 1994, let me see. The nominees were Forrest Gump, 4 Weddings and a Funeral, Pulp Fiction, Quiz Show, and Shawshank Redemption. Forrest Gump won, which I'm not saying is a terrible movie. I like Forrest Gump. I just don't think it's better than Shawshank Redemption or Pulp Fiction.
Um,
And I understand that Pulp Fiction is more of the cult following type of movie.
yeah, I mean,
But it's been so popularized since then that I don't think you can call it a cult film anymore.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how they judge, to be honest.
Me either.
I honestly don't. I honestly don't care. Like I said, I don't watch the Oscars. I'll just watch the results. I just wanted to make. I just wanted to make sure that Blade Runner was there, at least for cinematography, and they got that one, and they got another one, and I don't remember.
Oh yeah.
One.
Well, because the cinematography in
screenplay.
Blade Runner.
I think it was screenplay or something like that.
Did they get nominated for cinematography?
They won
for Blade Runner.
They won cinematography.
Well, they should have because it was amazing.
And I think they won screenplay. They won 2 Oscars. I don't know what else they got nominated for though.
Yeah.
Or if they got nominated. But I'm surprised Ryan Gosling didn't get nominated for supporting actor or as best actor. That was pretty solid. I mean, most of his acting is just visual. It's just expressions, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. And to me, the whole Academy Awards and the Emmys and all that stuff, I mean, it really is just a big circle jerk. Even the ones, I'm pretty sure the Emmys is fan voted, right?
I think the Emmys are.
But even then, you know that shit's rigged.
Yeah.
You know, they're not just going to let people do that because then they'll just vote for, things like The Big Bang Theory all the time. And I'm not saying that's a bad show. I like that show, but I mean, it's just not as good as the other ones. And the one that I always remember the year, and here it is right here, 1996, when The English Patient won Best Picture.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a big deal for me. I remember that because how old was I? 10? No, 12. So I was 12 years old, and The English Patient won over Fargo, Jerry Maguire, Secrets and Lies, and Shine. Now, Shine was that movie, the piano movie, that one guy that had some social problems, like he wasn't very good around people, and I think he went to Juilliard. His father was really strict on him, a Jewish man, and sent him to college with like almost no money. It was a really good movie, better than The English Patient. And then of course there's Fargo, which I think should have won. And then Jerry Maguire, not better than Fargo, but it was better than The English Patient.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched The English Patient and it was just fucking boring. And I've seen it a couple times, when you try to like watch a movie, you're like, okay, maybe I didn't give it a fair shake the first time. That was like The Big Lebowski for me. It's like I really didn't like The Big Lebowski the first time I saw it, and then I watch it again and I'm like, okay, this is a really hilarious movie. But I think it's just because you're not expecting things like when The Big Lebowski starts playing, you're not expecting that type of movie.
Right.
Unless you know who the Coen brothers are and and how they do stuff like in Fargo,
Yeah.
But yeah. Movies are weird. Their award shows are even worse. And I'm kind of tired of the whole thing. I'm glad their numbers are down.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe it'll force them to actually do some real art.
I'm sick and tired of seeing like Jimmy Kimmel hosting all of these fucking shows. So it's like, I'm like, all right, Jimmy Kimmel, like I'm done with you.
Yeah, I'm getting tired of the soapbox too for these types of things where they have to come out and talk about some cause like the Me Too movement or the all the inequality in the business between either race or sex. It's like, okay, just take your awards, say thank you to the people you need to thank, and then get off the fucking stage.
Yeah.
But Jimmy Kimmel is the one that baffles me. The dude was on a show that had women in bikinis jumping on trampolines, and he's up there telling us that we can't be sexist.
Yeah.
Fuck you. I mean,
fucking
what
hypocrite.
the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay, now let's Game of Thrones. You were saying. Sorry.
Oh, okay. No, it's okay. It's okay.
He totally went on a fucking squirrel chasing.
Well, that's okay. I got to take a break here pretty soon anyway, so we'll go ahead and talk about Game of Thrones. Of course, there's been a ton of theories, and there's going to be a lot more before we even get to the final season. But the one that has been intriguing me the most is who is the Night's King. And I've had some people like that watch the show have told me, oh, it's that one guy, that got stabbed with the obsidian or whatever, the dragon glass. I'm like, yeah, but what I'm asking is, who is that guy? And there's been a lot of theories. There's the one where it's actually Bran. Because Bran is a time traveler of sorts.
Right.
And there's been other stuff that the Night King is actually Jon Snow. And all of this stuff is like...
How could it be Jon Snow, though?
I don't know. They do have an interesting theory on it that it's not actually Jon Snow. It's just that Jon Snow is named after him by Ned Stark. Because Ned Stark knew who the Night King was.
Oh, I got you.
I don't know. There's been a ton of stuff, but the theories that I'm more interested in right now are who's going to kill who. And those are the ones that get me all excited to see the new season. The one that I'm really, really hoping for is Jaime killing Cersei. Kind of like how he killed King Aerys.
Right.
Stabs him in the back, and he's surprised. And I hope that that's how he completely redeems himself. He already you heard the story from Jaime when he's talking to Brienne, what actually went down in the throne room.
Right.
Right before Ned Stark comes through the doors. And, it's of course, he's trying to, if your king told you to murder your family and kill a bunch of innocent people, would you do it? Would you still keep your oath? And it's of course not. Of course you wouldn't. So he's I stabbed the guy before he could do any more justice or injustice to anybody else. But of course, he doesn't explain it to Ned Stark, and Ned Stark thinks he's, a traitor and this disgusting thing, that can't be trusted. When in reality, Jaime's actually a really good person at heart, but he still does some pretty fucked up things. Mm-hmm. But I think that would be a good redeeming moment. It's okay, I'm finally done with all of this bullshit. But the one theory that I've heard is that Jaime does that. He kills Cersei and then becomes the new Lord Commander of the Night's Watch.
Oh, okay.
Wouldn't that be badass?
That'd be badass. I can see that.
I was kind of hoping for him and Brienne to get together, but I would shelf that just to see him as the new Lord Commander. That'd be awesome to see Jaime in Crow Black.
Yeah. I think was it you that was telling me the Night King is actually the good guy?
Yeah, there was a theory going around that the Night King was actually a good guy, and his whole purpose was to kind of be the necessary evil that kind of brings the realms together.
Yeah. For
a common purpose, and then he kind of he would give up at the end when he sees that everyone's working together.
Oh no, that wasn't it. So the one that I was saying is
there's several.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, who actually has the harmony amongst the whole clan is the Night's King, right?
Yeah, he's the good guy.
They don't fight amongst each other. They're not in wars. Nobody's fighting the throne. Nobody's trying to overthrow
the leaders, his generals, are actually connected. Yeah. At a physical and metaphysical level so with his troops.
It's why the fuck do we need humans for? It's just let's just turn them in.
Well, I'll be at peace.
That'd be true peace, right? But
yeah,
I don't know. I'm just looking forward for the dragon fights.
Oh yeah,
dragon fights.
And I do think that Jon will be riding one of the dragons,
and he's gonna die.
It's possible. I think.
Well, if you think about it, they've already predicted or they already said everybody's death or whatever. The show is really good at mentioning or giving you hints on previous episodes or whatever.
Yep, and you immediately get transported back to those moments when someone dies, and you're like, "Fuck."
Yeah. So, I mean, one example was like the whole Tyrion and his dad, right? So if you never read the books or whatever, I think Bran makes a comment where he's like saying, when he's talking about like, he made me watch essentially my fiance or my wife being fucked by all these soldiers, and then at the end, like, I went, but it's like he's saying like my dick betrayed me.
Yeah.
And Bran just goes like, oh, no, Braun, right?
Braun
Just goes like, I killed a man who if that did that to me, or if somebody would done that to me, I'd kill that man. And sure enough, later on, Tyrion kills his dad, and it's just like, oh, and they give you like little hints of stuff like that. So, and the one that everybody's talking about as far as Jon Snow goes is the one with Mance Rayder, when he says, "You just want to be a hero. Heroes usually are the ones that die." So,
yeah. Well, it makes a lot of sense, and there's a ton. Of course, you say like there's a ton of foreshadowing in that show, and for as many heartbreaking deaths as there are in that show, I would say that there's just as many of the really good and exciting ones that are poetic.
Yeah.
Like Tywin Lannister dying. I mean, on the shitter. That's it's poetic. I mean, does he shit gold?
Yeah.
And then of course you have Peter Baelish. I mean, that was beautiful.
Yeah, the way
what a great scene. But I mean, there's so many. I mean, the entire house of Frey. Mm-hmm. That was gorgeous. But I mean, it's such a great show, and I'm excited for the new season, even though it's only 6 episodes now.
Yeah.
And I'm optimistic. I just hope that it's not rushed. And that's what my biggest fear with it. I do think that you're probably going to see Arya kill Melisandre.
You think so?
Yeah, just because she had that moment with her when she looks into Arya's eyes when she's really young, and says, I see, or something like that. I see eyes looking back at me, blue, green, and brown eyes, and there'll be eyes that you close forever. And she looks like she's terrified. And I feel like that's like because Melisandre says herself that she's going to die horribly. In those lands, she's not going back to her home.
Right.
And I feel like she already knows that she's going to get killed, and I think Arya's going to be the one that does it. But the only thing is that Melisandre would have to go back to Winterfell in order to die that way. Because Arya's not leaving. But anyway. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I feel like there's a lot of characters that are going to have much bigger parts in the story. I think Sam is one of those. I think Sansa is another one. I hope that we get to see Arya wearing Peter Baelish's face, because that would be sweet.
Doing what, though? I think the whole point of killing Peter
Tricking
Baelish...
Cersei.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen.
But I feel like at this point, Cersei would know what happened to Peter Baelish.
Yeah. Because I think, like I said, I think the whole point of killing Baelish is just that it's kind of like the change of, or the evolution of, manipulations, right?
Yeah.
So, like, there's no longer verbal manipulations. Because, you get the fucking, you're in front of assassin, like, the one that he mentored, essentially, right, is Sansa, and then you have the freaking Three-Eyed Raven, sees it all, right, sees beyond his fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's just like...
Oh, dude, that was such a beautiful part of that scene, too. When he tells him exactly what Peter said to his father.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god. Would you shit a brick?
I would. You told him not to trust you. It's like, oh, how?
Oh, this isn't good.
Like, how do you know that?
You know what? There's one scene that I actually went back to on YouTube that's actually really an emotional scene, is where Syrio Forel fights off the the King's Guard.
Oh yeah.
That's a very emotional scene from beginning to end. Like it cuts in between every now and then to do other scenes, but in the YouTube episode, of course, it kind of compresses it all together as one big scene. When Arya goes in there, I think it was right after her father got imprisoned.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, she's sad and everything, and Sirio's like, no, this is the best time to practice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you learn to fight when you're distracted, you know, and it's a really good scene, you know, because it it has a lot of connection going on in that moment, you know, like when What's-His-Nuts shows up, the guy that she stabs later on in the eyes and kills, Marin Trant.
Yeah, Marin Trant.
You know, but very good scene.
Yeah.
There's so many of them.
What is it? What do we tell the God of
The
Death?
God of Death. Not today.
Not today.
Oh, little Arya.
Good time. I still gotta make my wife watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah, she's got to get on board.
I gotta get HBO Go though, or something. Cause
you know, there was one more thing.
I think I'm gonna buy the Blu-ray package, and because they should be with Spanish subs, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Because there's no way I'm gonna make her watch it in Spanish dub. Hold the Door does not work in Spanish.
You know what you can do is, if you do get a digital copy, you can go online and they have free subs for any version that you might get, and you can just download them and you attach it.
Let me rephrase that. By me saying I'm gonna buy the Blu-rays or whatever, I mean I'm gonna look up a torrent in Mexico and download it.
Well, it's legal there, right? So.
Yeah, there's no data or file sharing restrictions, is what they call it.
Yeah. Well, and technically, it's not exactly illegal up here.
I mean, there's like the silver lining.
It's mostly illegal.
There's
but
like that silver lining, you know.
You're still going to go to jail. Don't get me wrong. You're going to go to jail. But if you are stupid and you download like 100 gigs of movies a month.
Right, but if you take it to court, there's the chance that, you know, the jury's going to not see it as you stealing.
There'll be a bunch of torrenters.
Yeah, and there's a couple there's been a couple of cases where the jury goes like, yeah, we don't see that as stealing, and they just drop the charges.
Yeah.
Just saying. They have been.
Did you see that France just made the age of consent 15 years old?
I mean, it is France.
French are weird, man.
Dude, the fucking French are a bunch of pedophiles.
Well, and they have a bunch of Muslims in their country now.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they don't give a fuck about age.
No, they don't. Well, have you not seen the ones where those priests have, like, marry those, like, 12-year-olds and shit?
Oh, yeah. We had a ton in Mormonism in that Utah complex.
Yeah. I mean, those are pretty messed up.
God.
It's just...
Okay. Before we get into a pedophile ring type discussion, I'm going to take a quick break.
Before you do, Lonnie.
Yes.
Because this is just a quick thing. I know Valentine's Day, it's already dawn and gone. But that one time that we were doing that podcast, I forgot to tell you that about like the Fallen Soldiers videos. Did you see those?
No.
So they call it the Fallen Soldiers, not because it was like anything military related or anything like that, but it was like people that got dumped or were left, or the girls said no, or the guys said no, and they're just like picture of them like holding like the flower or the big teddy bear, and they're just like sad and crying.
That's messed up.
It is so brutal, but there is a lesson to learn here, guys, gals. Never, ever, ever make somebody your girlfriend or your boyfriend on a special occasion, i.e. Valentine's Day, Christmas, your birthday, her birthday.
Bad idea.
Never, ever, ever, ever do that shit on a day that's, that you celebrate.
Yeah. Any significance.
Because, I mean, think about it. Like, you got Valentine's Day, you're thinking, like, oh, I finally got the courage to talk to this girl. But you've never talked to this girl. And then you come in and, out of the blue, say you want to be my girlfriend. And it's like, dude, like, I don't know you. Of course she's going to say no. So then you're going to end up.
You just ruined that whole day.
Yeah, you just ruined that whole day for her, and you ruined Valentine's for yourself. So it's like, no. And then, I'll be there taking a picture of you and adding you to the fallen soldiers pictures.
March 22nd. It's the best date.
What? What's on March 22nd?
Nothing. That's exactly why it's a good date. Nobody does anything in March.
So, and I wanted to say this because I guess my nephew, like he's finally getting it, right? And he was telling my brother. My brother was so proud when he was telling me this story, right? So he was saying like, yeah, I guess he's like got like this little girlfriend, and he's gonna make it official. But he said he was gonna wait after March or something like that. And he's like, why? I was like, well, because in March is my birthday, so I don't want like to make it in so April. There's nothing going on in April, so I'll ask her in April, like after my birthday. Like,
yeah, there you go.
And I was he was like
working it like a champ,
almost like teary eyed. He's like, "Oh, that's my boy."
Which reminds me, when we come back, we got to talk about the ghosts of girlfriends past.
Oh, that's a good movie. Dutch.
All right, I'm gonna take a quick break. Be right back.
We'll be right back, people. 2 seconds.
Sorry, people, we're back. So yeah, Ghosts of Girlfriends Past. You reminded me of the when he's asking him that one question, like, what do you do if God, what was it? What did he ask him? And like, we're driving in the car, and he says, oh no, he says, like, the kid says something like, you go and talk to the ugly girlfriend or whatever, or the ugly friend, so that the attractive one will be more inclined to talk to you or something like that. And he goes, hand to God, kid. I never really felt like you were my son until just now.
I like how he comes in and who's it? Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
His character is amazing on that movie. He's just like talking, and he's like, "Hey, why don't you and I go?" And then they just blurt out the sound out, right? And then he just hits him. The girl slaps him, and then he comes back, and then the other chick comes in and is like, "Hey, just because my friend is not into that thing doesn't mean that I'm not into that thing." And then he turns around. He turns around. I have a gift. Dude. Oh man, that scene is just fucking priceless. It's amazing.
It was a good movie too, because like, at the end they do the whole like Christmas Carol thing, where he has to learn the lesson at the end.
Yeah.
From his uncle, It's like, dude, you don't want to be me, Yeah, but that was a great movie. I'm not a big fan of Jennifer Garner.
I mean, yeah, like I said, if you just look beyond her,
the Garner.
The movie's actually pretty solid.
That's messed up.
And I remember you didn't want to watch it because you were like, "Oh, it's Jennifer Garner." It's like, I'm like, yeah, but Matthew McConaughey is amazing, and Michael Douglas is fucking hilarious in that movie. And like I said, I'm not a big chick flicks guy, but that movie, dude, made me laugh.
Is that a chick flick movie though?
I think it's a chick flick movie.
Didn't we already talk about this? Like, what would be considered a chick movie that's also a guy movie?
I mean, I don't know.
I guess you could say that one.
Yeah, I mean, but that one's sort of a comedy. I mean, Wedding Crashers is technically a chick flick, right?
I don't know. That's kind of pushing it for the chick flick thing. I mean, I guess because there's the love story in the second half.
I guess if it's over the top, like The Notebook over the top, I guess that would be considered a chick flick. But like Twilight,
but that's pretty out there.
Like Twilight is fucking over the top too.
Yeah.
So
much so that it ruins vampires.
And werewolves.
They offend a lot of people in that movie.
Do they?
Yes. A lot of people that are into that kind of stuff.
So,
No, that's a difficult one. I can't think of one that's both.
are you my girlfriend?
Terminator?
Hey, so the girl's like shaking her head. Do you want to be? The one, I would say the future ghost. She's like the hottest one.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good movie.
Good movie. Check it out, guys. If you haven't seen it, it's fucking hilarious. Michael Douglas is amazing. Super funny.
Go ahead.
No. I was gonna change the subject. I was gonna talk about somebody else. So.
Well, that's what I was gonna do. I mean, I'm gonna continue with the movie thing, but I had just watched Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. Like Christelle and I watched both of them together, right?
Yeah.
And it was a while since I had seen them, and I still love them. You know, I still think they're hilarious, but I still think that the second one is way better than the first one.
Oh yeah, by far.
And
you got the whole masturbation scene. You got the
that
rhino.
was hilarious. The
rhino was fucking
rhino.
hilarious, dude.
Oh, look, the mama rhino's giving birth. Oh, that was terrible. That was like a what's his name that plays in those Borat movies?
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah, that was like one of his moments. You know, like the whole rhino scene.
Yeah.
But the one scene that always gets me, or there's a few scenes, but there's one in particular. But the fear that Ace has of bats.
Oh yeah.
That shit just, I don't know why it's so funny to me. But when they're getting ready to go in the cave, and like he is so scared, like he's like, I'm not going in there. He goes, nobody said anything about a bat. You know, like, I thought you were Ace Ventura, a lover of animals. He's like, have you ever seen a bat? And he's getting ready to go in, you know, and like he's hesitating, like, you gonna go in? He's like, it's dark. Oh man, I don't know why I find it so funny, but I think that dynamic that he's afraid of bats is so hilarious. But I do.
He comes on running. They're in my hair.
Or when they're doing spit wads at the guy standing on that totem pole or whatever. Oh,
that was pretty funny.
Or when he fights the guy. Oh yeah, the blow darts, of course. Yeah. The one side of his body goes numb. I like when he gets the spears thrown into his legs.
Ah! Throw me a spear. He's like, ah!
Dude, that's like that calls back to some of those old slapstick movies that are so funny. Like especially like Mel Brooks movies, like Blazing Saddles and stuff.
Oh my god.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
You can't make movies like that anymore.
No, they're like completely racist and shit. You guys are acting like a bunch of Kansas City faggots.
when he's coming through like into town, you know, he's a black sheriff, right? So, what is it? It's a nigger on a horse. Oh, and calm down, everybody out there that thinks that I did something bad because I said the N-word. It's a reference to a movie, so just chill out.
Is it cool if I say the N-word? It's like, hey,
we're gonna get shut down.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? Whatever. It's quoted from a movie. You can't have this fucking sense of humor, dude.
For real. You know, what was the? I'm trying. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, right?
Yeah.
I think one of Jim Carrey's best movies. Like he does really good in serious roles, like the dramatic roles. But I think we've talked about it before. Like comedians seem to do really well in some dramatic roles. Like I would say, Robin Williams in Insomnia, you know, was a really good one. But I was talking with somebody on Slack again, and we were talking about that movie, Eternal Sunshine, and the person hadn't seen it.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, oh, okay, so you got to watch this movie. I go, but prepare your heart, you know, because it is pretty brutal, you know, as far as an emotional movie. And I said the first time I watched it, I actually had to go and watch Ace Ventura afterwards, just to kind of like emotionally redeem Jim Carrey,
Counterbalance the.
because it's just such a shot to the nuts, that movie. It's I don't know, that and the number 23. I think he did really well on.
Yeah, that was entertaining.
It wasn't great, but it was like, oh shit, that's Jim Carrey. All right. It made you a little paranoid afterwards, which is always cool.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah.
So, did this... Oh, that was the end of the story? I thought this person...
Oh, yeah, well, I told him to go watch I'm sorry.
Oh, they haven't...
That was an anecdote, apparently, not a story. No, he said that he's going to go and watch it, but he didn't want to watch it because he thought it was one of those, like, B-movie comedies.
Oh,
I'm like, okay,
no.
First of all, not a comedy.
No.
Not even close to a comedy. It's still Jim Carrey, so he makes little cute, lines every now and then, but, it is about as funny as The Truman Show.
Yeah. I mean, I thought I had that effect, like that same idea about Blue Valentine.
Yeah.
Dude, and it's just like a fucking downer. Oh my god.
Yeah, there's some movies that just do that, and they have no redemption either.
Yeah, Rabbit Hole? Holy shit.
It's like you watch the movie and you're hoping for like something to happen that'll make you go, okay, so somebody got out of this, okay.
Yeah.
Like, what's the movie about drugs?
Requiem?
Requiem for a Dream. Oh, it's like one of those movies you're watching and you're like, okay, at the end of it, you're going to see them like in rehab or something and they're doing a lot better or something like that. Nope. Mm-mm. Everybody's fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jennifer Connelly, quite literally.
Oh,
Oh,
ass
man.
to ass. God, what a movie.
Yeah, I'd probably pay to watch that, though. Just saying.
Yeah.
I like
that movie.
I like your nose. Like, yeah.
Well, the scenes that always get me is the scenes with his mom.
Yeah, those are really tough. Especially because
It's-
she's just trying to lose weight to be on a show, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's messed up too because you're watching it. First of all, you feel bad for her, but at the same time, there's such the way that they depict her trips really mess with you.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to watch. Like the entire movie's hard to watch. It's kind of like that movie Crash, but or Traffic. But those scenes are just they're extra messed up because of the whole trip effect that they do with it. So you already feel really bad for her, and then they go and do all that stuff. So it's like, what's the movie? Yeah, I won't even get into it, but Requiem for a Dream, that's a fucked up movie.
It's a fucked up movie.
There's a lot of fucked up movies.
You know what is also fucked up?
Smelly
coworkers.
It's a good segue, Zumi.
Wow.
You're a professional at this. Yeah. I have a few of those.
I have a few of those too. And you know what? It's not fucking pleasant. Take a fucking shower.
For the guys that work right next to me every day, you aren't the ones that are smelly coworkers. I love you guys. So, continue, Zumi.
Oh, I was just saying, wear some fucking deodorant. Change that fucking...
what is that about?
Change that fucking perfume that you've been wearing since you were 3 years old. It does not smell sexy. It just smells like a fucking grandma.
Oh, you mean like the Black Pearl by Elizabeth Taylor?
Jesus Christ,
stuff?
Dude. Fucking A. It's just... And then,
why is that still a thing?
Then it's like, there's nothing worse than having that fucking old lady or old man, old guy, perfume or cologne, and then having you to fucking fart, and then it smells like a fucking skunk getting ready to go on a date. No, just fucking stop doing that shit. It's fucking the smell lingers. You know how you know what I'm doing, Lonnie? To be honest, I'm not even fucking joking. I'm buying a diffuser, and I'm gonna put fucking essential oils, like the orange one, which is like the one that that kills everything.
Kills everything.
Yeah. Holy shit, dude. Smelly coworkers, man.
Yep.
Fucking take a shower.
We had one that worked where I'm at right now, and he has since, I don't know, I don't think maybe he got fired. Or maybe he was just asked to resign. But he was really a good guy. I'm not going to say his name. He was an older gentleman.
You know who you are.
He does not listen to this. When I was working in facilities and grounds, we'd have to go out and take care of all of the landscaping for all of the park and rides and stuff. Like mow the lawn and trim the bushes and all that stuff. And there was trash routes that we'd have to go around, and all the trash cans were at all the bus stops, right? And you'd have to go out to each and every one on your route and dump the trash out of the trash can. Well, everybody had their own truck to take out for the day. Well, he used one truck and nobody else would use it. Like, that was his truck. And because this guy was so nasty, he had this sweater that he would wear every day, and it had this permanent wet stain on the back.
Ugh.
It was like one of those real big fluffy sweaters.
No, yeah, I know. I've met people like that.
And the thing looks like it's 20 years old, right?
Yeah,
it was at one time it was blue, now it's white, type of thing. And it just had this really nasty wet stain on it that it wouldn't go away. You could wash it, nothing's going to happen. Right. But the guy obviously didn't shower, and he had like hair coming out of his ears, and he smelled like death. And when I say death, I'm not just saying it like metaphorically. You have smelled death. I've smelled death. He actually smelled like death.
Ugh.
And like I said, nobody would use his truck because that's what his truck smells like. This was the same guy that I heard a story. He had used a toilet brush to clean one of the tables off with, like in the lunchroom.
Aw, dude.
Like, he sprayed a disinfectant on the table and used the toilet brush to scrub it all down.
I don't want to know that. I mean, I know.
Now,
I'm not like
I'm pretty sure that the toilet brush was a fresh one, but it doesn't matter. It's like, just don't use that tool.
Yeah.
It's the visual thing. It's like, dude. Yeah. Nasty people, man.
Fucking nasty.
There's some filthy fucking people in this world.
There are, and you know what? The thing is, like, why the fuck do I have to put up with you, fucking smelly ass?
Well, the fucked up thing is that they're comfortable. And they don't care. Either that or they're not aware of it.
Yeah. How do you tell somebody to fucking smell?
I don't know.
I mean, is it one of those things that is frowned upon? Like, kind of like when somebody's having like they have like the dragon breath, and you kind of like offer them a mint.
Well, maybe, but I think even that, like, that's been done so much that it's almost obvious now. I guess you could do something like really subtle, like every time they come around, just like pretend like you don't know that it's them, and just be like, God, what the fuck is that smell? And then you could even do the thing like where you kind of sniff around them and go, no, I don't think it's you, but maybe like after that happening a couple times, they'll be like, is it me?
They'll get the indirect. I don't know. I mean,
you could do a Secret Santa,
dude,
where you give them a bar of soap.
I was just about to tell you that, like, that happened to like a teacher at my school when I was in junior high.
Yeah.
They made they made a prank, and they put like deodorant, perfume, toothbrush, toothpaste, and stuff. And yeah, the teacher was not happy. But I mean,
was he sad?
I mean, yeah, but she didn't come smelling like a fucking old lady. Yeah, she didn't come smelling like a fucking old lady anymore.
Ugh.
But I don't know. How would you tell a coworker? Especially like, let's say,
I don't think you can say it directly.
Let's say this person has to interact with you daily. Like, you're forced to be like in close quarters with this person.
I guess you could do the thing like where you could go over the top with it. as like, kind of like a bro joke type of thing. You'd be like, "Whoo, buddy, somebody forgot the deodorant today, huh?"
How how about if it's from a person from the opposite sex?
Oh, dude, why are you making this more difficult?
Cause, dude, I need some ideas.
Is this other person that you're speaking of the opposite sex?
Maybe.
Oh my god.
And old.
Aw, dude.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not trying to be a dick, but is there like a Fromunda smell?
You know how they always have like the stereotypical cat lady that
Yeah. Kind of
yeah,
smells like piss.
yeah. Let's just assume it's like that, and then they put like their perfume that they've been using since they were 5 years old, like I said, so it smells like a skunk getting ready to go on a date.
So it smells like a bathroom after your dad was in there for a half an hour and they used the Glade.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Like I said,
because Glade covers nothing.
I mean, like my solution has been that I'm just gonna buy a diffuser and put some fucking orange essential oils in it. But
dude, it's like a boil. You have to go for the core. You got to cut it by the root.
Or should I just go? Smells like Bigfoot's dick.
Smells like a turd covered in burnt hair. This is worse than the time the raccoon got in the copier. Dude, I don't know. Like with how old are we talking here?
I'm talking fucking old.
So like 70s?
Like grandma old. I mean, not
60s
like
or 70s.
60s.
Okay, so
late 50s, early 60s.
Dude, then that's not old. That's just elderly. No, that's not elderly either. That's
I mean, it's old for me.
Mature.
I was like, it's old for me. Like
it's mature.
No, that's not mature. Mature is like I picture like a coug in her early to mid 40s, But if you're pushing your late 50s, early 60s, then yeah, you're old.
Okay, so with that age of the opposite sex, a female, dude, this is hard for females to do to females.
Well, maybe females can write in finally and tell me what to do, because I can't find a nice way to say you smell like fucking ass and you fart and your fart just fucking linger and I like sit like right next to you type thing.
Dude, what if it was one of those things where like you thought it was the other person the whole time and then one day you're at home and like you smell your own shirt and you find out it's you?
Oh no, I'm pretty sure it's not me, because I actually do have friends that will tell me, and I've been telling like, hey, if tell me, and they're like, do me the solid, and I'll do the same for you. I will tell you, like, dude, you fucking reek right now.
Yeah.
Or
I don't.
here's some mint. Trust me, you need it. Like, I don't get offended by that.
Like, you should take this mint.
Yeah. Like, if you come to me and say like, hey, you want some gum, and then I go, I'm good, and then you look at me, you want some gum, then I'll take it. That means I need it.
Yeah.
Or you can just go, yeah, you need it. Here you go.
Well, apart from being a total and direct dick, I really don't know. Like I said, with a guy, it's easier because you can do. I really do think you could do like the over the top, playful thing, and hopefully they get the hint. But then you could also do a lot of indirect ways with a guy, But with a lady, that's rough. I mean, you could do that indirect thing where you act like you don't know it's them,
and buy the diffuser.
Yeah. And make it obvious that you're putting it up.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. That's a tough one.
Or I mean,
it's like trying to tell someone that they look shitty today.
Well, I mean, that kind of stuff is easy, right? Because, like, I think I told you my technique to call somebody an asshole, right?
Uh-huh.
So you just walk to the person and it's like, hey, the other day somebody came over me and just shook my hand and said, I think you're a fucking asshole, and they just walked away. I was in shock. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Right? So I guess I can go like, you know what? The other day somebody came over and just said, man, you smell like ass.
Yeah.
And then I went like this and like this, and turns out that I did smell like ass. So maybe you want to get that checked.
You know what you could do that is actually might be a good way to do it is you could tell her the story about how someone like noticed that you had been stinking for the last few days, like, and like they were trying to drop you hints and everything, and they had, they tried to, they gave you a stick of deodorant and you thought it was like some type of weird inside joke and you just didn't get it. And then one day they finally just came up to you and said, dude, are you going to take a shower this week? Like, smell yourself. And, like, just tell that story about you and just let it hang out there.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Why not?
Because it's not true. And if I come and tell this fucking story and they get the fucking indirect, like, I'm going to be talking to HR about collecting my last paycheck.
Well, there's no names mentioned here, so it's okay.
No, there's no name, but I mean,
this could be anybody.
I don't think they listen to this podcast, but if they do, fucking take a shower. You know, you know who you are.
Here, that's a good rule for everybody. Why don't we make that an APB out to everybody?
Yeah, let's make it a general statement. Take a shower, dude.
Don't go more than a day,
and
unless you're camping.
And if you're an old lady and you think your perfume or whatever that you're wearing is sexy, go to a young guy and say, what do you think about this? And just watch the reaction.
I really don't have a lot of hatred towards that stuff, though.
It ain't fucking helping your cause, to be honest.
Well, what would be better, though? I mean, because it's, there's some people that wear, like, a perfume, like a girl will wear a perfume, or a guy will wear a certain type of cologne, and it doesn't go with their general, like, musk, like their own personal smell. And
that's what I'm saying. That's why you should get an opinion.
Oh, yeah, and I think that's really important, like, because Christelle has mentioned this to me, like, about some of the colognes that I have, or I had, rather, when we were dating, and she's like, oh, like, don't wear that cologne. Yeah. That does not go with your natural smell.
Yeah. So, I mean, all I'm saying is, if you wear Old Spice, fucking stop.
That only works for some people. No, and there's very few of them left.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, just fucking stop.
And you know what has worked actually pretty well for a lot of guys that I've noticed is that there's still a lot of guys wearing Brute.
What's
Brute? Like, I know it's an aftershave.
Oh, the aftershave.
The green bottle. It's old as shit. They've had it forever. Dad used to wear it, but that stuff still works for a lot of guys. Like, it doesn't work for me. Like, I can smell myself when I have that stuff on. Like, I'll just smell my arm. I'll put it on my wrist and I'll be like, oh, God. It's just like this. Because I already have, like, I don't even know what my smell, my own smell is, but it doesn't work for a lot of things.
Yeah. And dude, it doesn't take much. Just fucking... Armani Black Coat, Armani Aqua di Gio. That's sort of, they're like safe. They're safe colognes to wear. Just fucking wear them.
I mean, they have the Tommy Hilfiger one still. That one works for a lot of guys.
Yeah,
you have to be careful with that one because that one's got like the sweet undertone.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's more for like a high school kid type thing,
Yeah,
like,
that doesn't have the armpit smell anymore.
But if you're a high school kid and you're showing up with fucking Armani coat or whatever, I mean, you're balling, dude.
Yeah, you the man. You know what? My favorite one is Clinique's Happy for men. That one works for me. That one and the Unforgiven, but I think it's Sean Paul or something. The black bottle.
Yeah, I know which one.
Yeah, those are the two that I use because they're safe.
Yeah, see,
with my own smell.
My safe ones are the Armani, Aqua di Gio, and Black Code. I'll use Emporium.
Oh, what a fag.
But that's like, that's like I'm like going like super preppy.
You're wearing the sweater over your shoulders.
Yeah. Like I'm like,
you're acting proper. You're meeting your wife's dad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I'm like it's like my church going.
There's no pheromones in it.
Exactly. It's just
I'm a safe male.
but I like it.
Yeah.
My wife tried to get me into like wearing the Lacoste.
Yeah, I don't like those.
I didn't like it. It was too, how do I say it? Too spicy for me, I guess.
That's an interesting thing about colognes. Like, we're getting into this a little bit, and it's making me think, like, how important a cologne is to every man. It's almost like choosing what you're going to wear.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It can make, dude, you can be wearing a fucking suit, and if you smell like ass, like, people notice.
You're not getting the job.
No, you're.
Yeah,
If anything, you're getting funny looks.
Yeah. Oh, and don't go into an interview with a pheromone-ridden cologne. That's a bad choice. I don't care if you know that you're going to go into a room full of women as a man. Don't wear pheromone-heavy colognes. It will not help your cause.
Why not, Lonnie?
Well, the pheromones work for certain situations, right? And they give you, I would say like an extra level of authority in some ways. It doesn't work for job interviews because you have no authority. Even though you might be interviewing for that manager spot that's going to be the boss of the people that are interviewing you, it doesn't matter. You don't do it. You want to make yourself at least a little bit vulnerable in those situations. Afterwards, if you get the job, yeah, wear that shit. That's when you wear the power tie, power suit, power cologne.
Or you can just do a power pose before.
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying.
You know what that reminds me of is you've seen Ocean's 13. It's the newest one. It's the
all female cast one.
No. All female cast.
I thought they were doing like an Ocean's all female cast movie.
Oh, I heard of. Yeah, I think we talked about that, and no, I don't think they're doing that anymore. I think they got such backlash from fans online that they said, "Nah, fuck that." No, they're not going to go Ghostbusters, I don't think. No, this was the one with Al Pacino was the villain in this one, and he had just opened up a new casino, and he fucked over Ruben, like their mentor.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where Linus, Matt Damon's character, like he has to try to seduce the concierge, or at least not the concierge, but the Al Pacino's personal assistant, who's a cougar. She's an older lady that likes younger men, so he puts on this prosthetic nose, that makes his nose a little longer. And then he wears like this real buttoned up suit and everything, real, tight ass looking guy. And the way that he's going to seduce her is like, he basically tells all the other guys, like, I got this, I can do this on my own, and I can distract her enough to steal these diamonds that are in this room. So they're like, nah, we'll get somebody to get you a Gilroy. So you don't know what a Gilroy is. And then like when the scene finally happens and she comes to his room, he had put on this little patch, like tapped a patch onto his neck, and it's just this. If this patch is like loaded with pheromones, right? So he just taps it on his neck, and he opens the door, and she smells it, and she's like automatically, oh God, But that's what the Gilroy is,
The Gilroy.
It was a good movie. I don't like Ocean's 12. I thought Ocean's 12 was shit. I liked Ocean's 11, even though it was a little ridiculous, and John Cheadle's accent in all movies is kind of stupid, but I like the Ocean's movies. For the most part.
I just watched the first one, to be honest.
Did you like the first one?
That's alright.
It's entertaining.
It's entertaining. I kind of like those movies where they plan everything out and everything goes perfect,
Yeah.
And it's just
like the heist.
As they're talking about the plan, they show like the scene of them doing it or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, if only real life was like that.
Yeah, you forgot about the kid showing up, and seeing everything you're doing and all that stuff, like in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, they're fun movies. I like heist movies. I like The Heist with not Al Pacino, but
Robert De Niro?
Robert De Niro and Edward Norton.
Yeah.
And I think Marlon Brando was in that movie too. But yeah, that was a good movie. That was something that went exactly as planned. Like the whole thing went perfectly, but you didn't know it was going as planned until at the end. You're like, oh shit, it actually worked. But that was a good one.
Yeah.
The Italian Job sucks for all those people out there. The new one, not the old one.
I was gonna say, like, wait, like...
No, the old Italian Job was badass.
Yeah, the Marky Mark one's not that good.
Yeah, that was pretty terrible. That was also Edward Norton.
Yeah, and Charlize Theron.
Yep. I don't like Charlize Theron.
Dude.
She bugs me.
I don't mind looking at her boobies.
So you liked Devil's Advocate?
Fuck, I love Devil's Advocate.
That was a good movie.
That was a good fucking movie.
That was messed up though.
It's a good scene with Charlize Theron in that one.
Yeah, but there was the whole incest thing.
I don't fucking care.
They had the whole Jamie Cersei moment.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I do have a New Year's resolution update for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm at 178 pounds right now. So
Well,
I still got 13 more to go. And this is week 3 of intermittent fasting. And
How do you like that, by the way?
I actually feel pretty good. Like I said, I definitely feel a change. Like I thought I was gonna be starving, but I'm not.
Well, I think with the intermittent fasting, you feel it the first time. Like you feel like that. Oh, dude, I'm fucking hungry, but it goes away.
Yeah, it goes away. And if I ever do get hungry, like during my fast in the morning or whatever, I just drink coffee. Like coffee doesn't break fast, from what I hear.
No.
You have to
as long as it's black.
Yeah, you have to drink
ghee or something in it.
Yeah, you have to drink it black, which is what I do. You can also drink apple cider vinegar.
I love apple cider.
And if you start getting like headaches or whatever, then that's a lack of minerals. So you can.
I just drink sodium like broth.
Yeah, you could something like that, or you could just do water and just throw mineral or sea salt in it, and you'll replenish mineral. Or you can just drink a Perrier or whatever.
Yeah.
A Pellegrino.
Well, they have mineral water. You can buy that shit for cheap.
Yeah, and those usually work, and you won't break fast. I think if you stay under 10 calories, you won't break fast. So I stop eating at 8. I don't eat until afternoon. And then I have that window between noon and 8 p.m. to eat whatever I want within. I guess if you do calorie counts, it's like 1,600 is ideally what you need to survive.
That's not so bad though.
And if you just keep it like under or over 1,600 calories a day, like you'll naturally start losing weight because your body just needs that. So it's like shedding everything else.
Yeah.
So
well, it's a lot like the keto diet that Christelle and I do, and we haven't been on it the last couple of days just because everybody's kind of been sick. But I mean, I've lost weight. Christelle has lost weight. She doesn't think so, of course, but it's the one thing that I do like about keto is it's basically like the slow carb diet, but I get to have my fats, and I'm not eating beans. And dude, I'm so fucking tired of eating black beans and pintos and stuff like that. But it's really not that bad. The coffee is actually really good because we can still have cream. You have to have heavy cream because you're working off of fat. Like your whole diet is protein and fat, and it's just forcing your body to eat its own fat, or burn its own fat for energy. And, I mean, it works. And I feel great. And then I found out just recently that Jordan Peterson, Dr. Jordan Peterson, he actually does keto. And there's a video, I think it's the latest episode he did with Joe Rogan, where he talked about doing keto and what it's done for his health.
Yeah.
Like all the things that just went away.
I listened to the podcast, but I don't remember that segment.
Well, maybe it was the one previous to that then. I just recently watched it on YouTube, like that section of it. So maybe it was one of his previous, because Jordan Peterson's been on the Joe Rogan podcast like, I don't know, like half a dozen times.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it works out really good. But I don't think it's just one diet. I mean, I also think that you have to find that one that works for your body type, for your lifestyle. There's a lot of important factors that go into it. Like if you're roofing as a position, or as a job, I wouldn't suggest doing keto.
Yeah.
You might die. For one, that's a lot of heat and exhaustion.
No, yeah, I mean,
if you're only burning fat.
If you're, I mean, it's like kind of like in the military, right? Because I remember people telling me like when I left, I was at my heaviest was just 165, as an 18-year-old, yes.
Yeah.
And then when I got out of basic training, I weighed 128 pounds.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but granted, I was like, we were running a lot, high stress. I wasn't eating as much as I should have.
Well, you had 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, but as soon as I started doing like office work, I kept eating the same, working out a little bit less, and then I started racking up the pounds, which was, to me, it was fine, right? Because going from 128 to going to 145 and keeping myself at 145 was, I was happy because I finally like bulk up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like now I'm like 180, and it's just like, oh shit, like I'm done. Like I don't want to buy 34 pants. Like I want to stay in the 33, 32 range, which is where I've been.
Well, I just recently was able to put on the new pair of pants that I bought, which is 32, and I haven't been to 32 since like.
You skinny motherfucker.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I tried them on when I first bought them. I'm like, I know these aren't going to fit. I just kind of want to see what they're like now, so that I can kind of have like a gauge, later on. And now they slip on. They're still a little tight, but it's nice. I'm on my. I need a new belt loop. That actually bugs me. It's like one of those things. Like shit, I might actually have to go and buy a belt. But I hate wearing belts.
I love wearing belts.
I hate wearing belts. I have the issue where like the pants that I wear, my work pants, they're so loose and stuff like that around the button and the zipper. Just from walking all day. I walk like 5 to 6 miles a day at work. And that stuff just gets worn out. So when I put a belt over it, it just kind of slips under the belt. It's like, well, fuck, because it doesn't have that, the stiffness of like, brand new pants or a good set of jeans.
Why don't you get the Urban Stars from Costco? They're like the material's stretchy.
I have had those before, and they're okay.
I like those.
I really need something like, what are they, like 706s or something? The ones that are like real denim.
Yeah.
Where you could like run a knife blade across it and it won't cut. Yeah. That's the kind of stuff I need. The really expensive jeans, the work jeans.
I thought the Urban Stars would work, like, because they're like the stretchy material, so you can still bend. Like it's like wearing sweatpants. I love those things.
And they look like jeans.
Yeah, they definitely look like jeans. But you know what? When you sit down in your car and the jeans like kind of like do like that stretch part like towards the inside of your balls.
Oh yeah, like the in between your ball and your leg.
Yeah, you don't feel all that pressure in your balls. It's like,
isn't that the worst?
Yeah, it is. I fucking hate that. So since I started getting these stretchy ones, I'm like fuck yeah, like no more ball pain.
Yeah,
More boo
Well, they just recently made those the style jeans. I think it's Levi's that started making them, where it has the U-shaped crotch instead of the V. Where they actually extend the stitching out in the crotch area so that it's longer.
Oh,
So like if you
that
get
makes sense.
like a nut itch,
Yeah.
like when you go to grab it, it's not all stretched out and like you have to like press up and
Right.
grab your nuts. And it also doesn't give you like the whole, moose knuckle look, where it's just it's nice and loose.
Male camel toe.
Yeah. But
Um,
they've been doing great things with the gene technology.
Yeah, I was gonna say that Hollister actually has the stretchy type material too, and those are actually pretty good jeans.
I don't shop at Hollister. I wouldn't know.
No, well, I do. Well, my wife does. I don't. Like to me, I can go to Walmart and get jeans, and I'm fine. Like I don't give a shit.
That's how it used to be. I used to get all my T-shirts there.
Like I don't give a shit, but my wife likes to dress me nice, so I let her.
Yeah.
And she usually picks up clothes that goes well with like my body frame and shit. So
that's her job.
I know, right? Like you want me sexy, then you dress me.
Well, I could give Christelle that role, but I feel like she would want me to wear more expensive clothing.
Of course, right?
I just don't want to wear that. Like I like comfort.
Dude, that was my biggest thing with Anna was that she's buying like Polo or Ralph Lauren. She's buying like Hollister and stuff, and I'm just like, how much does this shit cost? And it's like, she's like, oh, don't worry about it. And I'm like, no, yeah, I do have to worry about it because in a way, like, I'm paying for this shit,
Yeah.
And it's just like, dude, like, you can go to Walmart and get me a shirt, and I'll be happy. And she's like, no, like, I really want you to wear like nice stuff. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. I did the same site, and but eventually, it's not like she went like full blown, just bought like $1,000 worth of clothes in one day.
Yeah.
It was like a shirt here and there and stuff. And now that I accumulated enough clothes on my closet, I'm like, oh yeah, like these are really like nice clothes.
Like the bulk of my clothing is T-shirts, and I know it bugs the hell out of Christelle because I have like 3 nice shirts, one of which is a T-shirt.
See, I wish I had more. I wish I had more T-shirts. I have a lot of polo shirts.
I'd give you some of mine, but I don't think you wear a large.
I can fit a large.
Can you?
Yeah.
Because that's where I'm at. I was wearing extra large back, a few years ago.
I can fit medium and large pretty decent. So.
Yeah, extra large is too big for me. Medium is way too small. I did used to wear medium when I was in the Air Force.
Yes, I do remember that. Because I was a small but actually some of your medium made it in my bag for some reason.
Yeah.
I have some of your shirts.
I still have your I Like Boobies t-shirt.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, I got to send it back to you. Got to give it to you. Or I'll frame it and I'll put it up here in my studio. I don't know if my kids would see. They'd probably see that. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I mean, they're going to learn it from somewhere, right?
Yeah. Well, that's actually a scary subject, is my daughter's getting real close to that age where they start teaching them in school.
Oh.
And up here in Spokane, I mean, they've been pretty lax about it. Like, they're not telling them in school yet, and I don't think they do it till they're 12, which, according to the rest of the country, is pretty late.
It is kind of late. Like, I mean, I think Mexico has sex ed on the 6th grade.
Yeah.
Like the intro, right? And then you see it again on the 12th grade.
As like a refresher?
No, not 12th. The 6th, 11, 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
Okay, so the end of junior high, basically?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, Amelia's coming up close to that, and of course, she's heard little things here and there from all of her dumbass friends, right? Because they all know, like, little tidbits of it.
Yeah.
And, like, a lot of false things. Like, babies come out of your butt, but that kind of stuff. But we're getting real close to that point where we're probably going to have to tell her. And I want Christelle to do that one for her.
Just make her watch Big Mouth.
No. Hell no. No, but it's kind of a weird thing. Like, I never really envisioned myself in this position. I never envisioned that day that I was going to have to tell my daughter about it. Like, my boys, that was always something, like, yeah, I'm going to have to tell my boys about sex.
I'm just going to make it watch Big Mouth.
It's like, that with boys, I would say it's a little bit more simple with boys, the explanation anyway. It's just the execution of that knowledge, that's a little bit more troubling to me with boys. I'm not too worried about my daughter because she's pretty level-headed and, you can explain things pretty easily to her. But my boys, like, I'll be able to explain it easily. It's just, I don't want them to think it's cool until they're like 20 years old. I don't know. The whole thing scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
And you got 3 boys.
Yeah, I don't have girls, so...
I feel bad for those guys that have like 4 or more girls. It's like, the hell are you doing, man? It's like after number 3, I would have been like, nope, you're cut off. I'm not doing this shit anymore. I only have 1 girl. God, it's like having 2 wives sometimes. It's like you have to be like, just today I have an example of today. Like, I was picking up the kids from school today since I took today off, and my daughter comes up and she's like, hey, Antea is the daughter of our next door neighbor. She's like, Antea's going to go home with us today. I'm like, okay. So they're getting in the car and my daughter comes up to me and she goes, be nice to her. I'm like, the hell is that about? She goes, well, last time you made a joke and it hurt her feelings. I go, oh, okay. First of all, don't talk like that to me in front of your friends. Second of all, I'll do my best. And then I'm thinking on the drive home, I'm like, what the fuck did I say? Did I? And then I get home and my daughter's upset that I called her out on it, like talking to her dad like that, right?
Yeah.
And so she's, got a little teary-eyed and everything. I'm like, oh my God, like I have to do this whole thing. I already have to do it with my wife. Like, I have to say certain things in a certain way just so I won't make her upset and think that I'm saying something that I'm not, right? Now I have a daughter who has none of those, those filters that an adult woman has. So she thinks everything I'm saying is offensive, So I had to go up to her and be like, okay, I'm not trying to be a jerk, and I wasn't trying to be a jerk before. I love you. You're a good kid. Blah blah blah. Then she's crying. I'm like, oh my God, do we really have to do this? Like, why can't I just say that's not what I meant? It's ridiculous.
That's fucking hilarious, though.
But then there's guys out there that have more. It's like, what are you doing to yourself, dude? That's like watching The Road 10 times in a row. Like, what are you doing? It's like me watching the Giants loss in the Super Bowl, over and over and over again. Just don't do it.
Yeah. And on that note, I think we'll end this podcast.
I think we've said enough.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, how cool, like, how many cool points I got from some of the varsity players and the JV players when they were making like a Big Mouth reference, and I totally like knew about it. They were just like, "You watch that show too, Coach?" I'm like, "Of course I do.
Of course I do. Don't tell your parents." Yeah. Can you imagine how hard it is to be a teacher nowadays?
Dude.
Especially in high school.
Yeah. You got all these things going on.
You got to compete with technology now.
Dude. The teacher said, you said yesterday that this, and this, and I Googled it. And it's like,
oh, you little shit.
Well, Google's wrong. No, it's not. I was like, oh, I didn't say that. I recorded it. It's like, damn it.
The thing that sucks is like that the educational system has basically gone the way of, the utopic view where everything will be great if we all just dot, 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 it's like, if we all just do this and if we just let this happen, and it's like, dude, that's not real life. Yeah. Why do we got to keep telling these kids all this shit that ain't real just to make them feel better so they can sleep at night? Dude, fuck that. When I was a kid in high school, my teachers told me the way it was.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, slavery was bad. We fucked up, and I don't know. It's just not that way anymore. I guess it is in some ways with some teachers, and I appreciate those teachers, but yeah. Sometimes I feel like it'd be better if I just homeschool my kids.
I thought about it, and I played with that idea, and then I was just like, you know what? I'm not at home that much, so...
Well, I also thought about it, and I'm like, anything that they get taught at school, like, I ask my kids enough to where I know what's going on. We have, like, that class dojo thing on our phones, like, where they tell us exactly what's going on in the class every day, and so if something comes up, I'll know about it. If my kid was bad that day, or if something happened in class, or the subject that they were talking about. So when they come home, it's like, hey, that stuff you guys were learning about today? Like, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
But
I do that with my son, like on the weekends I usually sit down with him and do homework, right?
Yeah.
And I will make him repeat and do, like, get repetitions on concepts rather than just doing it because he's doing. So for example, he was doing, it was like, I think it was like some like subtractions, and yeah, there were subtractions, because I remember I texted you and I asked you if you had a rough time with Amelia teaching her like subtractions, and you're like, not really, and I'm like, fuck, and then I'm fucking up here because I was having such a hard time. He just couldn't grab or get the grasp that you're taken away.
Yeah.
So he was trying to like, so he was doing this way, like, and he got into like a little routine, right? So he was just like, so let's say he had like 23 minus 12, or not 12, like 15, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, so the 3 has to borrow a 1 from the 2, so he would cross off the 2, and he's like, and then this 2 turns into a 1, or the 3 turns into a 13, and now I can,
yeah,
right? Now I can subtract, so now I can go 13 minus 5 or whatever, and then he's like, and the number that he borrowed, it's a 2, so it's gonna be a 3. And I'm like, no, and it's gonna turn into a 1.
Oh shit.
Because the 3 borrowed 1, and he's like, and he would just look at me, and I'm like, and so he would write the number, and then eventually I'm like, okay, now you do it on your own, and then he would be like, the 6 is borrowing from the 7, so this is gonna cross off. The 6 is gonna turn into 16. And then the 7 is going to turn into 8. And I'm like, no. It's like 5. So eventually, like, we just kept doing, we were going on for like an hour of me going like, okay, so the 6 is going to borrow. And then the 7 is going to turn into what? And I told him, and it's not 8. And so he's like, 5? And he's like, yes, so 5. So eventually he started saying he was on his own, like, the 4 is going to borrow from the 5. This is going to cross off. I'm going to put the 1 here so it turns into 14. And the 5 is going to turn, and it's not 6, Dad. It's going to turn into a 3.
You're like, yes. There we go.
But on every single one, like, after that, he started saying, like, and it's not this number, like, the one...
So now he's going to go to class, is going to be a little dick to everybody.
Yes. And it's not 7. It's 5.
The teacher calls you up. We're going to have to talk about Axel. There's been some trouble with the other students.
Yeah, I know. And then, so, but that's one of the things, like, I'm trying to teach him concepts versus just getting repetitions and him not knowing exactly how to, like, why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah. Well,
So
the one thing that when we switched the kids' schools when we moved, it actually turned out to be really good because Amelia, right before we moved, she was at the other school and she was working on fractions, and it took her a while to get it, but once she got it, she had it. She's like, okay, I can understand this. And they're doing simple fractions like 1/3, 7/8 and stuff like that, and she was really having trouble with which fraction is a larger number. And write these fractions out from smallest to largest. It's like, okay, I can get that because 1/3 is larger than, say, what is it, 2/7.
yeah,
And I was struggling trying to tell her because 2/7 looks bigger, and just because of the numbers.
yeah.
So I'm like, how the fuck am I going to do this? And I'm like, pizza. I'll just do it with pizza. So I drew out pizzas on a piece of paper, and I separate them out to all of the slices, so 7/8 or 2/8, 2/7 or whatever, and I draw that out, and I'm like, all right, shade them in. Which one's bigger? She's like, oh. I'm like, yes, that's which one's bigger. So I'm like, all right, write them out. And once they get it, that's the most satisfying portion of it. It's once they actually get it and they're like, oh my God, this is so easy, and they start doing all this stuff. The only problem is converting that over to what the teachers want them to show it as. It's that's what you want to try first, right? You want to try first what the teacher's method is. It's okay, why are they not getting this method? And then you find out, oh shit, I don't even understand their method because their method's fucked up. It's why don't we just go the simple route and then we'll move on to the teacher's method. And I think a lot of it has to do with that Common Core bullshit that they're doing here. The Common Core stuff pisses me off. It's yeah, it makes sense. It just doesn't make sense for a kid.
Yeah.
It's their brain doesn't work that way. And I don't understand who thought that was a good idea to give kids these complex show your work type stuff just for a simple math problem. It's why can't we just do it the old way? Here's 3 oranges, there's 2 oranges, you add them together, you get 5 oranges.
Yeah.
It's really simple.
Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, I mean that's a good one. I thought you were gonna say that she did something like that one video where the guy's like, if I have a pizza with 8 slices and I cut that same pizza into 12 slices.
Yeah.
And the girl's like, why would I want 10 slices? That means that's more pizza. It's she just didn't get the concept that it's the same. You're cutting the same fucking pizza, and it's just so that's what I don't want for my kid. I don't want him to fall under that thing where he doesn't understand the concept of what they're trying to do. So
yeah, it's the realms of math. It's what are you actually looking at here, and where are you not getting it? And once you find it, I think that's the biggest thing. It's what are you not getting exactly? And once you know that, then you could work around it. And but we got lucky enough to where, Amelia was doing all those fractions in the previous school. And then when she got to her new school, she's just now going into the beginning of fractions. So okay. She's all happy. She's like, oh, I know this.
This is easy.
And I'm like, well, prepare yourself because you got a whole new year next year and it's going to be a lot different. That's why I hate it when people say oh, I'm going to bump him up a grade. What, because he was good at one thing?
Yeah, no.
Don't do that. It's let him be really successful in that one thing, but he's got to learn the concepts of all this other stuff. I saw a lot of kids like that in my school when I was growing up. Their parents bump them up a grade, and that kid just totally flunked out. It's well, now he's got to stay an extra year. Good job. And now he missed out on all those key concepts. I think all in all, the idea of this conversation is that parenting is hard.
I mean, it is.
And it's nothing like having a dog.
No, it really isn't.
You ever tried to teach your dog math?
Oh my
If you
God,
can
but,
teach your dog
dude,
math, you're ready to have a kid.
Dude, but I swear to God, like sometimes, like I totally project myself and my kid, and I end up like yelling at him and stuff, and just like banging at the freaking table. I could just see my
Yeah.
mom like staring back at me, and I'm like,
Oh,
fuck.
yeah.
I'm
Can you
like,
feel your parents' faces behind yours?
yeah, I'm like, fuck. Like so since a couple of weeks, I've changed my way with him. I'm a little bit more. I'm more patient with him, and if he's not getting something, then I'm taking the attitude of like, okay, I'm not explaining it well.
Yeah.
I'm not explaining it to like in a way that he's understanding. So, but seriously, like I there's this one time like I've made him cry like a couple of times where I'm like, it
You're like,
can't be
shit.
possible. It's like, and I'm like super frustrated at this point. Like I'm losing my shit, like it can't be possible. Like you just told me the correct answer like 2 minutes ago, and I'm asking you the same fucking thing, and
Yeah.
it's like you're not getting it. And he's just like looking at me like, and I'm like, damn, like I'm fucking up.
Yeah. It's hard, man.
I mean, I don't know if you ever gotten that situation
Oh,
or
yeah.
to that point where you're just like overly frustrated and you just fucking lose your shit, dude.
Well, Christelle told me once, like there, I found out that I'm really good at teaching some things with my kids. Like I can do the math, I can do, the writing. Like with my daughter, like I have to be careful with the writing thing because I like to be really elaborate in the things that I write. But I can do some things with her, but I thought it would be a good idea to try to teach her to play a little guitar one time. Christelle stopped me. She's like, "No, you're not teaching her a thing. She's completely confused. You're terrible at this." And I got pissed, right? I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, I know how to play guitar. I can show her how to play guitar." And she's like, "Well, you're not teaching her anything. Like, you're just getting upset that she's not doing what you're doing. You suck at this. Stop doing it." And then I thought about it for a while. I'm like, "Yeah, you know what? I probably shouldn't teach people how to play an instrument." And you got to learn those things, like that's why I think it's so important to have two parents available.
Yeah.
Because most of the time you're going to have, that other person that knows something that you don't or is better at something than you are. And I guess that would be one of the good reasons why there's a lot of fatherless boys out there that don't know how to treat women.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, it's just one of those things where I'm like, fuck, dude. Like, I remember my mom yelling at me and stuff when I was a kid. I'm like, I don't have to do that to my kid. Like, it didn't work for me. Like, I didn't learn shit when she was yelling at me. It's obviously that he's not gonna learn shit if I yell at him. So,
Yeah.
so yeah. I mean, it's. But I'm glad I'm not like the only one that has like lost his shit.
Oh,
yell
no.
Yell at his kid like he was an adult, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, I fucked up.
Oh yeah, and I have to remind myself, and sometimes I have to remind Christelle, and she'll have to remind me. It's like, there are no perfect parents. It's like every single parent that's actually trying feels like they're fucking up.
Yeah.
And not all the time. I'm not saying like, oh, you always feel like a fuck up, but no, I feel like there's, with every single parent that actually gives a shit about their kids, you probably feel like you are not the best parent in the world. Yeah. In fact, you probably feel like you're pretty poor at it. But I guarantee you that, especially with the people out there that have kids nowadays, you teach your kid common sense. If that's the only thing you teach them, they are above 90% of the other kids.
Yeah. And, like the other day he surprised me, right? Because I told him, like, okay, son, like, it's like the reason why I want you to learn all this stuff is because, like, you have to have the discipline in life to finish stuff. Like, right now, your job is to focus in school. And so I told him, like, it's not the smartest kid, the one that's gonna be successful in life. It's the kid that's gonna have the discipline to stick to stuff that.
Oh yeah, perseverance goes a long way.
So so he's like, okay, Dad, because he was getting like a bunch of notes saying that he was playing in school, like not listening to the teacher.
Yeah.
They would call him out, and then he would work again, and then not finish his homework or his work. So I talked to him about discipline, and then on the following days, and lately, every time I call or whatever, he's like, Dad, like today I had the discipline. I didn't play when I was in class. I only played when I was on recess. and it reflects because they have an agenda, like a calendar, and the teacher will write comments, and they'll put like whether he worked, whether he was missing pencils and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whether he was playing a lot or not. And he had a test, and yeah, he did really, really good on his scores. It's like 8, 9s, and 10s.
That's good.
So I'm like, okay, and he's kind of adopted the whole thing of saying like, I had the discipline today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that I've given Amelia that makes me really, really happy is questioning things. Like, because her friends, like, it's girl stuff, like, they have so many stories. Like, you remember as a young boy, like, you had bullshit stories too, right? Like, you had all these things that, like, your friends would tell you. But with guys, I think it was easier to weed out the bullshit when you were a kid. You're like,
oh, yeah.
I'm really not sure that Frank is telling me the story that, like, how it actually happened,
or like the kid that claimed that he beat Contra. And,
oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, then come to my house and let's see it. And then he can't beat like the second level. And you're like, what the fuck, dude? I thought you said you beat this game. I mean, I beat it the other day.
You're a fucking liar. But yeah, with Amelia, I've kind of prided myself on teaching her common sense and teaching her how to question, the norm. And because of that, like let's say the one thing that I talked to her about was the this recent school shooting in Florida, right? And I just asked her the question. I didn't put anything on my kid. I promise. Anybody out there listening who's against guns, this was not me. So I asked her. I was like, so did you hear about the shooting in Florida? She's like, no. I'm like, okay. So I tell her about it. And she's like, well, how come nobody stopped him? I'm like, well, what do you mean? She's like, well, how come nobody stopped him? Like, somebody should have shot him. I'm like, well, yeah, maybe, I guess. I go, well, if you hear there was 4 police officers that stood outside and they didn't actually go into school. And she's like, what? She's like, that's their job. I'm like, yeah, it is. And she's like, well, can't they just like have like somebody that's in the school with a gun? I'm like, yeah, maybe. Like, and this whole time I'm just listening to her, and she's like working this stuff out. And when she comes home, like on the weekend, I'm asking her about it, and she's just like, you know what? She goes, the kids in my school, like a bunch of them were saying that their parents say that we should get rid of all the guns. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, what do you think? She's like, I don't think that would solve anything. Or she goes, I don't think that would fix anything. I'm like, well, why not? And she's like, well, because you can't get rid of all the guns. There's too many of them. And I wanted to tell her, I'm like, your answers are more concise. Whether or not people want to agree with you, your answers are more concise and well thought out than most politicians are.
Yeah. Smart girl.
And it just blows my mind, like that some people just don't give a shit about their kids. Like, there's so much knowledge that you can get just from your own kids. Even if they're not teaching you anything, they're like directly, the stuff that comes into their brain, like all those little shower thoughts, like the cool little concepts. You're like, I've actually never thought of it that way. You're like, that might actually be a good idea. And it's cool having a kid. It's like the whole, Jedi and your apprentice type thing. It's like you don't become a master until you actually teach somebody and you fuck up,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fun having kids. It's also the hardest fucking job I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah. Anyways. All right, people. I think Sammy's got to get his beauty sleep because I got to get up at 5 a.m. tomorrow.
Well, we crossed our 2-hour mark, so we should be proud of ourselves. Yay! Okay. Well, yeah, we will see you in less than 2 weeks, right? Because either way, yeah, I mean, you might have your tournament, right?
No. I'll be free. I'm not this Saturday, but next Saturday I'll be free.
Okay.
Regular schedule. It should be fine.
Okay. So I'll get this out as soon as possible, and I'll probably be down here in my basement doing my work for school anyway, so I'll have this on this computer and do my homework on the other computer and kind of do it simultaneously like a champion. So if there's any fucked up parts of the audio, I apologize.
Yeah, and yeah, but send in your comments. I want to know how to tell a smelly coworker that they fucking stink.
So do I, especially if it's a female coworker.
Yeah.
All right.
Old.
You people have a good 1.5 week, and we'll see you then.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the NBTLT podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, or shoutengine.com. Write to us on our website at nbtltpodcast.com or send us an email at mail@nbtltpodcast.com. Our bumper music is provided by bensound.com, and you can find us on all social media. And hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel.